Hi, you're watching Hindustan Times Poll Baazi, and I'm Aditi Prasad. Now, we are going to talk about Punjab today. Punjab, which is set for a multi-cornered contest on February 20th. All opinion polls predict that the fight is squarely between AAP's Bhagwant Mann and whoever is going to be the chief ministerial candidate for the Congress party, which they are yet to pick. But the latest news that we are getting is that on the 6th of February, that announcement is going to come. Whether it's going to be Channi, whether it's going to be Navjot Singh Sindhu, we'll get to see, but we will see where that goes. The latest survey, going to talk about today, is from CVoter. They've conducted a snap poll, and they are suggesting that Captain Amarinder Singh factor cannot be ruled out, and his alliance with the BJP, of course, cannot be ruled out in these elections. As per this latest survey, every third voter in Punjab believes that Captain is still very much in serious contest along with his new alliance partners. Now, this sentiment is more highlighted in the Hindu-dominated areas of Doaba and Majha regions. Yashwant, the founder, CEO of CVoter, is with us today, along with the Hindustan Times executive editor Ramesh Vinayak, based out of Chandigarh. Yashwant, I just want to start with you. Whether Amarinder Singh can still deliver a captain's knock, and how, if at all, it may upset the calculations of poll pundits in Punjab. But first, I want to ask you, please take our viewers through what are the key findings of your poll.
Well, we simply asked Aditi in our tracker one of the questions that we inserted just to understand how do people see the Punjab Lok Congress, BJP, and Akali Dal, SAD, as we call them, together, if they stand any chance anywhere. Because I mean, so far our tracker we have been ruling them out like anything. Because individually speaking, Captain Amarinder Singh was trailing somewhere between 6-7% kind of rating ever since he stepped down from the post of chief minister. When he was the chief minister, he was gaining roughly about 18 to 20% of the rating. The moment he stepped down, that rating crashed down to about 6-7%. And the BJP voters were giving the BJP phase roughly about 2-2.5% rating. So obviously that was not making any much of traction at that point of time. But now that they have come together, we just wanted to check, do the people of Punjab actually take them seriously? So answer is twofold. Within the Malwa region, no, not many people are taking them seriously at all. Obviously, they are not seen as a serious contest outside the Patiala area where Captain Amarinder Singh's own stronghold is there. But in Majha and Doaba, which are traditionally the areas with a bigger number of Hindu voters, and traditionally the areas where the BJP has been contesting, and the areas where RSS has quite a significant root level work. There the traction is certainly visible, and big number of people, and we also checked out on how many of different political support bases are taking them seriously or not. So it was interesting to see Aam Aadmi supporters do not consider them anything significant. They are saying they are not in the race. But the Akalis and the Congress supporters, they are, both of them are taking them seriously, that okay, they are, I mean, the question that we asked, do you find them in serious contest in your own assembly segment, their candidate? Do you feel that they are going to be? But the Congress and the Akali Dal supporters, they are pretty much saying, big number, that they are going to be in a serious content. So the reason might be, Aditi, that Aam Aadmi support base is quite significant in Malwa region, and as I mentioned that Captain and BJP are not going to get much of a traction in Malwa region, but their support base of Akalis and the Congress, they have a significant support base in Majha and Doaba, and this is where they feel they are going to be impacted more, because Akalis, because BJP have left them. So for the first time, they are realizing that the Hindu vote of the BJP is not coming with them because BJP has already
Hmm.
left. And the Congress, because they feel the last time the Hindus switched over from the NDA to the Congress, and if they go back to the BJP and the new combination of Captain's party, then it is for there to see the loss. So these two party supporters are saying and realizing that this may be a significant impact in their own assembly segment.
Okay, those are some very interesting findings, Yashwant. Ramesh, I want to come to you. As per this poll, every third voter in Punjab really believes that Captain is still very much in a serious contest along with BJP and the breakaway faction of the Akalis. Do you get this sense on the ground when you're talking to your reporters? What's the sense that you're getting from the ground? Because so far, what we've heard in most of the opinion polls, that it's of course. Uh, the AAP and the Congress, depending on which opinion poll you're looking at. It's a very tough contest between the two, with AAP having the upper hand, upper edge in some polls, and I think even in the CVoter poll that's there. But do you feel that there is on the ground there is a change in terms of more traction for the BJP Amarinder combined as before?
Aditi, one very significant feature of this election is that BJP is contesting uh, outside alliance with Akali Dal for the first time since 1996. And they have forged this alliance with Captain Amarinder Singh, his fledgling People's, Punjab Law Congress. Now, the sense that we are getting is that Amrinder is seen to be in the reckoning in the areas which are BJP's traditional strongholds. The
Hmm.
urban areas, as Yashwant rightly said, especially Doaba, Majha, where BJP has traditionally done well, whether it is in Amritsar or is in Pathankot or Gurdaspur area, Batala area, then Jalandhar, city area. So Amrinder seems to be kind of getting traction in the areas which are BJP's turf. That's the sense I am getting. And let's face it that Amrinder has been one of the tallest leaders of Punjab for many years now. And given his moderate and nationalist credentials, he still resonates with not only with the Hindu population, but also with the liberal, stream within the Sikhs and also the Dalit population. But having said that, we all know that Amrinder's political venture hasn't really acquired that critical mass which he was hoping to kind of attain in the
Hmm.
run-up to election. I mean, he has said it publicly so many times that my party would gain once the Congress tickets are announced, because he was hoping that people who are disgruntled, who are denied Congress ticket, they would gravitate towards his party, and
Right.
it will lend strength to his political challenge that he are trying to put up to especially the Congress. That hasn't happened, and if we look at the number of people who have joined Amrinder's party, especially from Congress, it is minuscule, at all levels. So that is one of the key weak points of Amrinder's party. He doesn't have that pan Punjab organizational network, and I'm sure he doesn't have the resources, to really match up to challenge from Congress and Aam Aadmi Party. But having said that, he is piggybacking.
But he still got the BJP on his side, and BJP has very deep pockets.
Yes, that's right. So that's what I'm saying, that he is seen to be piggybacking on BJP,
Okay.
and I would see him in nutshell as a vote spoiler for Congress, uh, and I don't think he on his own he can emerge, as a force to reckon with, or he can really help the BJP, gain major traction outside their traditional areas. Because BJP's game plan in aligning with BJP with Amarinder was also that they can blunt that the impact of farmer agitation. Basically outreach with the Sikh constituency. So Amarinder would be helping BJP in a very limited way, with the Sikh constituency. That's my feeling at this moment, Aditi.
Yashwant, do you agree that BJP has, Amarinder has more to gain from this alliance with the BJP than the BJP from him, because he doesn't, his stakes seem to be very limited in these elections. He had said earlier that more people from the Congress will join him. They did not join. None, I mean, at least so far. Some in his party have even refused to contest from his ticket. They've said that we'd rather contest from a BJP symbol because that is more recognized. So he's really not got that kind of traction.
Well, I agree to some points definitely with what Ramesh said, and on some points I would just like to add, what my observation or my understanding is. Say, for example, the point of him waiting for the Congress denying tickets to MLA and those MLAs joining his party and contesting on his party. That's very legit point, analytically speaking, yes. But look what has happened due to the fear of Amrinder factor that our people will run away to Amrinder's party. Congress is literally forced to give repeat tickets to all the MLAs, which while we know that almost two-thirds of their MLAs have been non-performing and have been gaining a huge anti-incumbency sentiment against them at the local level. So, I mean,
Hmm.
what is happening is that fearing Amrinder's presence, the fact that he might take away those candidates, that fear has actually forced Congress to repeat the candidates, and that has kind of, I mean, obviously it is not going to work in favor of the Congress. We know for sure that denying tickets to non-performing candidates, MLAs, is one of the biggest steps applied by all the political parties to chop down on anti-incumbency factor, more so
Hmm.
particularly the party which is in power at this point of time. So that is one point which I want to add. Number two, just like every MLA where the party is putting the ticket back on that MLA, there are other people within the same group who would also like that MLA to be displaced, and that is the catchment area which probably Amrinder Singh is going to tap in. I don't know how much he would be successful, but probably he would try to tap in. Absolutely, Rameshji is on the spot, and I also mentioned right in the starting the traction is coming largely from the two areas and not from much from the Malwa. Only big region in Malwa where they might be getting traction and they are getting traction is Patiala, which is his home turf. So
Hmm.
it's like uh, yes, I mean I generally don't use the term vote spoiler, but I was kind of till now expecting that it would be more of a vote spoiler. But what I am rather intrigued with the fact that precisely the five areas which Ramesh just mentioned, the content of this data is actually on the higher saturation side on those precise five districts. So he has as if read our data, or he didn't see our data, he didn't read my mind, but he actually mentioned those five districts. And yes, I can only confirm that he is bang on target. Their support or this sentiment that he is in race or his combination with the BJP is in race has maximum traction in Patiala, in Pathankot, in Gurdaspur, in Jalandhar, and in Amritsar. I mean, in the same order, actually, from highest to the lowest kind of thing. So,
Hmm.
what I want to understand from Rishi, because a party or an alliance which was so far tracking in totality roughly about 7 6 7%, but along with the candidates and now that everything is there, if suppose they get to a statewide vote pattern of roughly about somewhere between 8 to 12% of vote share, but that is not an evenly distributed vote share. So the seats where these people are not going to have any traction, they might vote somewhere between 0 to 5%. But the seats where they are having good traction in five districts, they might be polling in somewhere between 30% to 35%. So, or maybe 40%. So, what I am trying to understand from here, from this data, that now we are looking at a catchment area, Rameshji, probably of about 30 seats in these five districts. And with the concentrated vote share in these 5 districts, and a 5 cornered or 4 cornered contest on those seats, how typical it would be, or how important it would be for these gentlemen, these parties, this alliance to cross 30% and actually be seen as a winner. So that's where my entire focus of analysis now is, that whether, I mean, one thing is very clear. Amarinder Singh, the day he left Congress, I think the next very day we ran a snap poll to see if people feel that if it is going to damage the Congress. Almost 65% in Punjab said yes, it is going to damage Congress, number one. Number two, even bigger number within the Congress rank and file said that it is not good for Congress that Amarinder has left the party. You know, and so that number went down significantly once Mr. Channi was named. You know, Channi was a wild card which came in, because till that point of time, Amarinder supporters were putting one-on-one with the option of Sidhu. Channi came out of syllabus, literally out of syllabus.
Right.
So all of a sudden, that entire game plan was dislodged. Now, the thing is, with that kind of traction, his first and foremost thing that we can tick mark on, is he going to damage the Congress? Absolutely, yes. He is going to damage the Congress for sure. Is he going to damage Aam Aadmi Party? I doubt. Because the catchment area of Aam Aadmi Party, or supporter of the Aam Aadmi Party, has hardly anything emotionally or in a very weird way attached to Captain Amarinder Singh. So he is not unlikely to damage the Aam Aadmi Party prospect. Is he going to damage the Akali Dal? Yes, but not because of him, but because of the BJP. Because him coming along the BJP, all of a sudden, if you look into the data, Aditi, I mean, big number of overwhelming BJP supporters are charged and saying they are in the race, which they were
Right.
just silent so far. You know, it wasn't that BJP support base wasn't there, but during the farmer agitation and everything, the Hindu vote of Punjab was largely silent. They were not speaking at all. Now they are looking charged, and we know for sure there is a very significant polarization as well. You know, the polarization which was triggered by the farmers' protest, unfortunately. Rameshji knows it more than me. In the, you know, there
Yeah.
were very clear fear patterns among the Hindu population of Punjab sliding back to the 80s, and that some elements in the farmer protest did charge up that sentiment or that fear of Punjab sliding back to the 80s. The trauma of the 80s came back. So Punjab Hindu voter was silently, largely so far. All of a sudden, I can see a twinkle in their eyes, or I can sense the data that they are now speaking out, and they are saying that it is going to be surplus for whatever the combination they are picking up. Now, because that charged up voter, if they stick to this combination, the damage is going to be Akali Dals as well. So, what I feel, that this entire emotion sentiment towards Amrinder and the BJP combined, in even if it is limited to 5 districts, first of all, it is going to damage the Congress prospects, and second of all, it is going to damage the prospects of Akalis. I don't see them damaging the prospects of Aam Aadmi Party at large. Can they win on their own? That is the question, which totally depends on what kind of saturation point they reach in these 5, concentrated in 5 major areas. What is the
Right. But
threshold they reach?
my question to you, Yashwant, is, are we talking primarily, because the sentiment that you're talking about, is it predominantly urban, or do you see this in rural areas also? Because
No, this is
that is what.
predominantly. This is
Exactly, but then
predominantly.
isn't, yes, so isn't the rural, because the rural areas that will decide really the winning, the vote margin, the vote share, the winning of
Exactly.
seats and all
But
of that.
Punjab
So
is not just the urban, not just the rural seats. You see, majority of the seats in Malwa are rural, but majority of the seats in Majha and Doaba are having a significant urban seats.
urban.
So
Hmm.
this is what my understanding is. Rameshji can correct me if I am wrong anywhere. That I see that they are going to be in traction. This 37% traction of popular people saying they are in serious contest is not across Punjab. Certainly, this is not even in 10% in rural Punjab. But yes, this is very high in the urban Punjab. And if they get this kind of traction, I feel that they might be get into serious contest in 30 odd seats. And how much they can actually convert, it is completely in the dark and unknown. But somehow, if in a four-cornered contest, my understanding, I come from UP, Aditi, I have seen multi-cornered contest and people winning seats with even 25% votes.
Right.
So Punjab has never seen that kind of a multi-cornered contest. Punjab was largely has been bipolar. Only the last election became a triangular contest of sort. And now we are looking at a five-cornered contest.
Yeah,
So in
even the farmers also in the mix,
to
right?
understand from
So,
Rameshji that what
Ramesh,
kind of
I
damage that he expects to other parties and what could be the traction in terms of seats that they could look at as far as Amrinder and BJP are concerned.
Ramesh, you want to comment on that?
Yes,
I think
I
Yashwant
would
is
tend
there.
to agree with what Jashwantji said with regard to that Amrinder BJP combined can hurt the Congress more than Aam Aadmi Party. I think that is pretty much close to the ground situation at the moment. Now, BJP has done two things, to reach out to the Sikh constituency, which was, which was like offended with BJP because of, farmers' agitation. One, they have this alliance with Captain Amarinder, and with that breakaway faction of Akali Dal, which is led by former Rajya Sabha MP Sukhdev Singh Teendsa. This is one, this was their kind of, part of their game plan to spread their wings in the Sikh constituency. Secondly, Aditi, BJP has been very proactive in roping in the Sikh faces, in last 6 months
True.
or so. And they have been pretty successful in getting people from other parties, like Manjinder Singh Sarsa came from Shiromani Akali Dal. So they have been able to get, Sikh faces, and that is again part of their plan to spread their wings, beyond their traditional urban Hindu-dominated areas. And as I said in the beginning, that they are contesting 65 seats for the first time, so they had a lot of political space to adjust, a new crop of candidates. And while Amrinder is contesting, I think 35 seats, and rest are contested by Sanjog Akali Morcha, led by um, Sukhdev Singh Dhinsa.
Yeah.
Now, an interesting thing that has happened, which tells you sort of straws in the wind, is that five candidates of Captain Amarinder Singh's party, Punjab Lok Congress, they approached the BJP that, we would like to contest from on the BJP symbol,
Right.
not Amarinder party symbol, which is hockey stick and ball, you know. So, and the BJP has agreed. These are five urban seats, two in Ludhiana, one in Jalandhar, one Bathinda, and one Kharad, which is, next to Chandigarh. So on
Hmm.
these five seats, we have a very kind of interesting scenario where the Amrinder candidates are contesting on the BJP symbol, right? And then we also saw a situation where Ajit Pal Singh, India's former India hockey captain,
Yes.
who was fielded by Amrinder's party from Kapurthala. So he opted out. 2 days
He
after his
refused. Yeah.
nomination, saying that uh, party doesn't have a strong organizational structure on the ground, so I don't feel comfortable contesting election. So what I mean to say is that Amrinder is counting more on BJP
Than
than
the
the
other
other
way.
way around. This is my assessment.
And that also holds true, I think, for the BJP's approach in respective states, Yashwant. The sheer number of seats that they're contesting this time in Punjab, compared to the past, obviously, it's very high, and vote share obviously will automatically increase. Isn't this that's their strategy. You start as the junior partner in the state, and then expand. Haryana, Maharashtra. It's a leaf out of that same book,
Well, you
and
know
now they're
what?
senior.
I mean, I remember 5 years back, the sentiment from the ground of the BJP supporters was so damn anti Akali at that point of time. If the BJP would have contested all alone, ditched the Akalis 5 years back, probably their supporters would have been extremely happy. The
Hmm.
fact that they stick to the Akalis actually drove away a big number of Hindu voters of the BJP towards the Congress, and added to the fact that at that point of time, the blunder that Aam Aadmi Party did was, their equation that was made public about being open to the Khalistani sentiment
Correct.
supporters as well. That reacted big time among the Hindu voters and driving them towards the Congress. In fact, so much so that there were very clear reports. I mean, and we know now for sure that actually the RSS people decided of putting their votes into favor of Captain Amarinder Singh at that point of time, just to ensure that Aam Aadmi Party doesn't win.
Hmm.
So it's not that the Hindu vote of the BJP was alien to the Amrinder Singh support as such, So Amrinder Singh coming Hindu vote going the Amrinder Singh way, and Amrinder Singh coming toward the
Coming to
BJP
the BJP.
was a completely process which was kind of normal to them, because in any case they
Hmm.
had voted 5 years back for Amrinder Singh, not for the Congress but for Amrinder Singh, I would say. But having said that, you are absolutely right. BJP is probably for the first time contesting thrice the number of seats they have been contesting on, almost thrice
Correct.
the number of seats, and that is an expansion plan for them. They had big issues of having a Sikh face in Punjab. Navjot Singh Sidhu was with them, and they could have counted, but then it's a history and it's gone thing
Yeah.
for them. It's not going back. But Captain coming with their way, probably they are finding it easier to traction. And as just Rameshji mentioned, that they are getting a lot of prominent Sikh faces, making them join the BJP, giving the ticket.
And giving their tickets, making them their
But
right.
having said that, I still believe, looking at the data, that their major base or their electoral equation will be focused and completely based on Hindu urban voters of Punjab. That is where the catchment traditional voter, you see, they might try to pick out the new voter, but that is not their base voter. And if you look
Hmm.
into the data where the tables which the team has made, that the traction is among the Baniya voters, the Brahmin voters,
Absolutely.
including, to my surprise, was among the Dalit Hindu voters. I was somehow feeling that Dalits, be it Sikh, be it Hindus,
They
will
will
be
all
going
vote
and
Congress.
barrel to Congress because of Channi. That is not happening. The data is not showing that the entire Dalit swing is lock, stock, and barrel. There is a very significant deviation between Sikh Dalit voter and Hindu Dalit voter, and within the Sikh voter, Dalit voter, also a significant variation between the Ravidasiya Dalit Sikh voters and non-Ravidasiya Dalit Sikh voters. There is a significant deviation in that. Where in the
Right.
non-Ravidasiya Dalit Sikh voter, a significant chunk is also going to Aam Aadmi Party.
Sure.
That's what is
Let's.
data.
I think 20th. I think the 20th when they vote, and 10th of March is when we will get to know exactly how all of this plays out. Who voted for how much, and what population voted for. Which party in what quantity, vote share. All of these datas. I'm sure Yashwant, you'll come back with us and share with us. But just before we go, there is I want to talk about the Congress right now. We've just before the start of this broadcast, we received news that Charanjit Singh Channi in Sri Chamkur Sahib has said that the CM candidate of the Congress will be announced on February 6th, and he said that I will be with Rahul Gandhi on that day. And we've talked about Navjot Singh Sidhu. was with the BJP, went to the Congress, is now has his eyes on the chief ministerial position. And just 4 days ago, he famously said that only the Congress can defeat itself in Punjab. I really want to come to you, Ramesh, and ask you that do you really think that if Channi is chosen as the man for the Congress in Punjab, will Navjot Singh Sidhu uh, take it lying down?
Aditi, I don't think Sidhu now has any option. He'll have to lump it. He'll have to reconcile to this new reality. Wherein Channi's anointment as CM face looks almost a foregone conclusion. So I guess the High Command would have done some kind of behind the scene kind of exercise to mollify, to placate Sidhu, and and make sure that he doesn't become you know a boat rocker. I mean, he doesn't kind of rattle the Congress, knowing his
Hmm.
impulsive kind of style of functioning. So I'm sure that Sidhu will have to go along. And also when Rahul Gandhi was in Jalandhar, where he said for the first time that we will announce a CM phase, both Channi and Sidhu said it publicly that we will abide by whatever decision the High Command takes on CM phase. So in that
Hmm.
sense, High Command has already extracted a commitment from both. So my sense is that Sindhu would sulk, but at the same time, Channi's elevation can definitely um, pump up the Congress worker, their morale, and put the Congress, in a very, in a strong fight, and
Right.
because now party will have a clear face, to project, to kind of bet on.
I
So
remember
I
even
guess
during the last elections, even during the last assembly elections in Punjab, they had announced Amarinder Singh as the CM face towards the end.
yes, at the faggot.
But then he was really the only face at that time. This
That's
time
right.
there seemed to be just too many contenders, and including Sunil Jakar, who said that I, just yesterday that I was the most popular. Choice amongst the MLAs, really.
Yes, but yesterday, last night, we spoke to Jakar, and we have reported in today's Hindustan Times, wherein he told us that that party should not change the horses midstream. So he actually threw his kind of weight behind Channi, saying that
Yeah.
he is the best bet for the party to fight the election.
Hmm.
So I think Jakar also won't kind of escalate the matter beyond a point, and
Hmm.
he wanted to make a point which he has. So, but overall, there is a consensus within the party that Channi is the best bet because he has I would say, wider acceptability in the party vis-a-vis Navjot Sidhu.
While acceptability was the yes, Yashwant, you wanted to come in there?
In fact, so much so, Baka, that my team actually is running. They yesterday discussed that sir, all this entire drama and Nautanki in Punjab started with Mr. Sidhu and Mr. Amarinder Singh. And these two gentlemen are actually on the outside of this entire equation right now. And like
Right.
Punjab has moved on, and I don't know where. So it was funny to observe. That's why they put in the question to understand whether if there is any traction in the new avatar for Amrinder Singh, and now they are
Huh.
running a few questions on Mr. Sidhu on whether if Mr. Sidhu was actually a liability or an asset for the Congress, and if between Mr.
You're
Channi.
already talking in terms of was a liability or an asset, almost
Because he
assuming that he's going to
because
be out of
he
the
was not
party.
made he was not, because you see, let's face it, it was only and only Mr. Sidhu and his theatrics because of which Captain Amarinder Singh was chained and thrown out of Congress. I mean,
Absolutely.
let's face it. So that's why I'm
Hmm.
using pause. So whether trusting or going after the input or going after the tantrums of Sidhu, whether at that point of time, Captain Amarinder Singh was an asset or Sidhu was an asset, or both were liabilities. We don't know yet in that way. So we are still running that. Probably tomorrow we will have the questions and their results. What the Punjabis are thinking, and also what the Congress supporters in Punjab are thinking. We might look into the results and realize that whether all this drama and all this was really worth it. We don't know. All we
Yeah, and
know
Channi,
that the
yeah,
only thing it
because
was worth it that Mr. Channi got a chance, and that he became a completely out of syllabus guy coming into the equation, which is also good in a way,
which
because
is good because it
it is
seems to
good
have
in a way.
done the Congress, it seems to have improved their acceptability amongst the people, and despite the anti-incumbency that we've been talking about. So, right, if Channi is the chosen guy, then clearly it's going to be a straight fight between Bhagwant Mann and Channi come February 20th. But we'll keep coming back to you with more. So, this discussion we'll put an end to right away. We've already taken more time than necessary. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to our guests. Thank you, viewers, for watching this broadcast.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diti. Thank you,
Thank
Yashwant.
you.